the WWE Spinner Belt.
What?
Nah, I'm kidding.
Oh,
The
okay.
worst wrestling championship belt is...
You got me there, man. I was about to say, of all the titles you could do, the spinner belt. Okay. Phew. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest city in the world, Wrestling City. As always, I'm Ryler, and today I am going to be reacting to yet another video from Tap Out Corner, and it is titled The Top 15 Worst Wrestling Championships. So, even in the past, 10 years or so, we have seen a lot of really bad WWE Championship designs. Just off the top of my head, what I'm assuming is going to be on here, we better have the 24/7 title, that green and yellow one, the Universal title, and as you can see by the opener for this, I'm assuming the Raw Women's title is also going to be on there. So, yeah, let me just go ahead and get this one started, man. I'm wondering what's going to be on here.
There are so many beautiful and prestigious wrestling championships that look like works of art. And today, we aren't looking at a single one. This is the top 15 worst and ugliest championship belts of all time. Number 15, the AWA World Light Heavyweight Championship. Okay, look at this thing. It looks like a freaking popsicle. I did give the AWA points for trying something different with the red, white, and blue, but it did not work out. Also, I know that AWA stands for the American Wrestling Association, but the title is specifically the World Light Heavyweight Championship. Why would you make a world title look like a U.S. flag?
Yeah, man, and that also, I mean, it kind of, when I look at that, I see is that the French flag? I mean, I get what they were going with the design, but it looks like also like a bomb pop. Yeah, not a very good title design.
Why would you make a world title look like a U.S. flag? Or for that matter, why does the American Wrestling Association have a world title? Number 14,
Fair enough.
The WWF Heavyweight Championship. In the late 70s and early 80s, the WWF champion had to lug this thing around. Now, as a concept, this is an awesome title. The side plates show everyone who had won the championship and the dates of their title reigns. That's a really cool idea. The execution, though, is a different story. The belt is just too big, and the stacked up side plates aren't a good look. Again, having the dates on there is cool too, but it's just hard to fit all that information onto a belt.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, this design has a short shelf life.
Yes.
Once you get past 8 champions, you can't fit anyone else on there. This is still a cool idea, and if you include just the names, I think this is a concept someone should bring back. I, however, cannot say the same thing about number 13, the Crown Jewel Championship. In 2024, WWE announced the two respective men's and women's world champions would face off at the annual Crown Jewel event. However, their titles would not be on the line. Instead, the winner of each match would be gifted the Crown Jewel Championship. Okay, where do I begin? Well, for one,
I was thinking they were talking about, for some reason, I was thinking the Greatest Royal Rumble title, which I'm assuming it better be on here, man. But this one it's just gigantic. Surely they'll show how it looked on Liv Morgan, because it is gigantic. It is like the size of her entire body, basically.
I'm not a fan of this taller shape that some belts have. It just looks odd to me and leaves a lot of empty space on the plates. But by far, the worst part of the Crown Jewel Championship is just how generic it looks. It's devoid of personality. It looks like it could be just about any championship for any company. Why not add in some purple, like the color of the Crown Jewel event?
Yeah,
especially since this is a title that is only going to appear once a year. Why not give it some personality? I'll take the Greatest Royal Rumble Championship over the Crown Jewel Championship.
I disagree with that right there. The green strap on it looks awful. Now, I will say, like I was saying, it's way too big, but if you shrink it down just a little bit, I think it looks better than the Greatest Royal Rumble title.
Any day. Number 12, the AEW Women's World Championship. Specifically, I'm talking about the very first design that was introduced in 2019. Like with the Crown Jewel Championship, I don't like the oval shape of the center plate, but my real problem with this belt is that it's just too small. It looked like the size of a toy replica and not the actual championship.
That's like the old ones. If you've played any of the old SmackDown vs. Raw games, that's exactly what those look like. All the titles look that small. like they're just little toy belts.
Someone at AEW must have thought the same, because in 2021, the belt was updated to be slightly bigger, which made all the difference. That's an example of a good championship redesign.
Yeah.
To see the opposite of that, we head over to WWE with number 11, the WWE United States Championship. Now, I'm not talking about the design used from 2003 to 2020.
I don't know about all that, man.
I'm talking about the crappy redesign. It's not inherently awful, but it just sucks the life out of the original title. The current United States Championship looks like a basic black strap and gold-plated championship.
Once again, man, I'm gonna disagree. I will agree that I think the old title does look better, but to say that this rebranding of it is on the top 15 worst wrestling championships is crazy, because this is also a beautiful title design in its own right. But I agree that the one they used before did look better, so it was a downgrade, but not by much.
Belts. Give me a little more red, white, and blue. It's the United States title after all. Make it scream America. Actually, while we're at it, I'm going to throw the WCW United States title in there too, for the same reason.
Fair.
It looks like
Fair
just
enough.
a generic wrestling title. I honestly prefer the Women's United States Championship. It's basically the same, but the white strap looks better, and at least one-third of the US flag is prominently featured. Number 10, the ECW World Tag Team Championship and the ECW World Television Championship.
Television title looked good.
One, but that's only because both these titles have the exact same problem. Now, the original ECW Tag Team titles weren't great, but they weren't awful either. However, in 1997, the company redesigned the belts, or more accurately, stole WWE's Intercontinental Championship design and slapped an ECW logo on it. That's literally what it was.
Yeah,
and what makes
that's
it even
fair.
sadder is that they did it again. ECW also redesigned the World Television Championship. It was just a ripoff of the Winged Eagle WWE Championship. I can understand using the Intercontinental belt for the tag team
That's
titles,
fair.
but why use the Winged Eagle for the World Television Championship? Did the original ECW even air in the United Kingdom? What makes the ripoff titles even worse is that this was ECW, the rebellious anti-establishment organization. Still, here they are, shamelessly copying popular designs from the big guys.
It ain't that deep,
Fortunately,
bro.
someone
It was
realized
okay.
these belts are bad, and much better tag team and television belts were made. Number 9, the Impact Global Championship. In 2017,
I remember this
TNA
one.
merged with Jeff Jarrett's wrestling company, Global Force Wrestling, or GFW. This would see the organization, formerly known as TNA, now be called GFW Impact Wrestling.
Okay, yeah.
New championship belts were made, the ropes were changed to green, and more. However, the two sides had a falling out.
Bruce.
This resulted in GFW leaving, and TNA revert back to being called just Impact Wrestling. I guess TNA got rid of their original World Championship because even though they were no longer affiliated with GFW, they kept using the GFW World title. All they did was slap an Impact Wrestling sticker over it. But that wasn't the most embarrassing part. TNA ran out of stickers and couldn't cover up the GFW logos on the side plates. In a way though, this makes this championship the
LA
most
Knight,
TNA
bro.
of all the TNA titles. Number 8, the Rated R WWE Championship. Now, I know that the spinner belt is widely considered a bad championship. However, can we at least give a little bit of hate to what Edge did to it? After defeating John Cena and winning his second WWE Championship, the Rated R superstar threw Cena's belt into the water and then presented his own. It was the exact same belt, but now with Edge's logo in the center. It just looked so out of place on that belt. It didn't match the design at all. What makes it...
I think I disagree again, man. I guess when we're talking about top 15 worst wrestling championships, there's gonna be, there's gonna be some that are gonna make the list that I'm gonna disagree with. But I think that while a spinning title was a weird title to get used to, and it didn't fit on some people, like I don't think Triple H looked as good with it. Undertaker obviously wouldn't have fit with it. People like that, but I think the spinning title for Edge, the Rated R, belt that he's talking about right now, did not look that bad. I think it was good for his character at the time.
Even sadder is that Edge had drawn up a custom belt that actually looked pretty sweet. I'm guessing that since replicas of the spinner belt sold so well, WWE didn't want to stray too far from that design. However, that gave us about a month of this ugly looking thing. Number 7, the UWF Sports Channel Television Championship. The Universal Wrestling Federation, or UWF, was a company that ran from 1990 to 1996. What it tends to be remembered for nowadays is its insane owner, Herb Abrams. I'm not going to go into all that, but looking at the company's TV title, you'll get an idea of how petty Mr. Abrams was. Sports Channel was the network that aired UWF episodes. So, like what AEW would do decades later, the company made a title named after the network. I always appreciate a non-black strap belt, but the silver plates and the white, don't worry.
That looks
there are also
terrible.
just too many colors, with the UWF logo being green, yellow, and blue, and the Sports Channel logo adding red. Also, just like with ECW, why are there eagles on a television championship? Additionally, while the UWF letters on the sides are a neat idea, I don't think they work with a TV title.
Yeah,
they seem
that's
like they would have been better
ugly,
for the
bro.
company's World Heavyweight Championship. But the real reason the initials are here is for one petty jab. You see, Herb Abrams wanted to work with Vince McMahon and the WWE. When that didn't happen, Abrams launched the UWF to compete against them. Then, to really stick it to him, Herb designed the television title so that when he held it, the belt said F you, which is entirely directed at Vince McMahon. To his credit, Herb Abrams was the Attitude Era before the Attitude Era.
This man, to get a petty jab at Vince McMahon, made his title look like this. Bro, it ain't that deep, bro. And it looks terrible. I think this may be the worst one so far. I can't imagine anybody that would actually look good with this. More like actually, them be known for having that title. That's just god awful.
Number 6, the CMLL Arena Coliseo Tag Team Championship.
That's a long
CMLL
name.
is the largest wrestling company in Mexico and is actually the oldest wrestling company still in existence, with its origins dating back to 1933. Despite having close to 100 years of experience, they're still struggling to design good championship belts. Case in point, the Arena Coliseo Tag Team titles.
World?
Kind of like the previously mentioned WWF World Heavyweight title, the Arena Coliseo titles try to incorporate history by having the faces of luchadors emblazoned on the belt. It's a cool idea, but since you're not usually seeing the belts from that close up, it ends up giving the titles this odd, cheese-like texture. Probably doesn't help either that the color is yellow and has a rectangular shape.
That looks
Number 5,
terrible.
the 24/7 Championship. I don't mind the 24/7 title as a concept, but even I'll admit, this...
Look at this. When Mick was holding up this title, he looks ashamed. It's just... Vince McMahon. I mean, what else is there to say? What is 2019 WWE? Just... This sums it up, man.
This was an ugly looking belt. It just has such a plain and basic design. I get it's not meant to be a prestigious championship, but couldn't they have given it a bit more detail? For crying out loud, the side plates are just empty squares. You couldn't slap a 24/7 logo on there or something? No wonder Nikki Cross failed to throw the title away.
This sums up the 24/7 title perfectly. When they got rid of it, they missed to throw it in the garbage can and it landed on the outside. If that does not say anything better, then, I couldn't explain it better, man. It's just fate. Doesn't surprise me.
The trash can didn't want it.
Yeah.
Number 4, the Fabulous Moolah Women's Championship. Time has revealed all the awful stuff Fabulous Moolah has done. I'm not going to go into all of it, partially because some of it's pretty disgusting.
Yes.
But something that did come to light years later was Moolah's stranglehold on women's wrestling in the United States. Moolah used her influence to basically control women's wrestling throughout the mid-1900s. This resulted in her being WWE Women's Champion for almost 30 years. That's not a typo either. From 1956 to 1984, WWE recognizes the Fabulous Moolah as their women's champion. And nothing visualizes this better than what Moolah did to the WWE Women's title. During her nearly 3-decade-long title reign, this is the belt Moolah used.
Wow.
It doesn't even say Women's Champion or anything. It's literally just a picture of Moolah with a crown above her. Imagine if Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes slapped a picture of themselves on their titles. I know people say the Divas Championship is one of the worst women's championship designs, but Fabulous Moolah's title makes it look like a work of art.
Okay,
However, as hard to believe as it might be, there is one women's championship that looks even worse than this. I'll share that later. For now, let's look at...
I disagree with that.
The WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship. In 2001,
WCW
had so many cruiserweight wrestlers, they decided to expand the division and introduce tag team titles. Now, the idea behind the championship isn't bad, with the belt looking sort of like an eagle, but man, the execution was awful. There's too much empty space on the black strap, and it kind of looks like an arts and crafts project. It also just seems a little too bland, especially with the cruiserweight division being focused on high-risk moves and excitement.
Yeah.
The belts honestly look unfinished. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. Just 8 days after the first Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions were crowned, WCW would go out of business. It's not surprising that when WWE bought WCW and did the Invasion storyline, they did not bring over these titles.
Well, I think the biggest issue with this is not just the awful title design itself, but like the division, the Cruiserweight Tag Team Championships. What type of division is that? How many Cruiserweight tag teams are there? Like nowadays it would be like maybe LWO, and then like that's about it. That's a really odd decision for them to add, of all things. Yeah, a week before it went out. That says a lot about their creative process during that time.
Number 2, the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. I know that back in the 60s, wrestling championships and wrestling in general was different than what it is today. However, the original WWF World title is so bad. Here's what the WWE Championship looks like today, and here's what the original looked like. This honestly looks like an actual belt you would use to hold on your pants. But there's so much more wrong with this title. The side plates look like two people kissing, and despite it being the World Championship for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, the center plate is shaped like the U.S. Are wrestling companies just really bad at geography? Okay, we've made it to number 1. Brace yourselves, because the number 1 World Wrestling Championship is the WWE Spinner Belt.
What?
Nah, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Belt is
You got me there, man. I was about to say, of all the titles you could do, the spinner belt. Okay. Phew.
Number 1, the Pure J Openweight Championship. Okay, so people always say the Divas Championship is awful. It's the ugliest belt of all time. I'm not saying they're wrong, but I am saying they have clearly never seen the Pure J Openweight Championship.
I have not.
Pure J is a Japanese women's wrestling company. They have several titles, and they all look fine, except for the Openweight Championship. Here it is. It looks like something a car dealership would give their sales team. The text on the front is in this basic font, and the belt has this see-through plastic strap that just makes it seem cheap. But what's worse, seeing something bad or hearing something bad? If you want to hear the worst wrestling themes...
Man, that was another great video from Tap Out Corner. Yeah, these are some really bad championship designs. Obviously with 15 belts, or 15 entries for this, I'm bound to disagree with a few of them. And I do not think that the Rated R title should be on here. The Crown Jewel, I think the Greatest Royal Rumble one is worse. And I'm surprised that they didn't add the Divas Championship or the Raw Women's Championship or the Universal. I remember when that first came out, everybody was like, the period title or the catch-up title. Of all of them, I'm surprised they didn't add that. But most of the other ones on here did make sense. That UWF one looked god-awful, so they all had their place on here. So yeah, that's about it. Make sure you don't forget to drop a like, comment below, and subscribe. Come join the greatest city in the world, Wrestling City. And that's about it. I will see y'all next time. Peace.